How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about what to me is one of the best features of 5.4. This is an await feature for me because it now allows us to fully clothe a metahuman, so you can have as many outfits as you want and add simulations. So your outfits are no longer going to just be like this static gamey looking thing. They're going to have pretty cool simulation, and as you can see, this is running within the engine and it's performing pretty well. So let's see how this is done. So for this to work, you're gonna need Marvelous Designer. This is the core of what we're going to explain today. Of course, most of the things happen in Unreal, but if you don't have Marvelous Designer, this kind of workflow is not gonna work. I'm going to explain in another video how you can do it without Marvelous Designer. So you can actually create clothes in ZBrush and in Blender and use this workflow just with a very small tweak. Let's do the actual workflow that Epic wants us to do with Marvelous Designer. Unfortunately, at the moment of recording, this is not free. I know this will be free. I think in June, I think there was a tweet by Fortnite Creative, the official account, of course, that said that this was going to be free for a year for everybody. For now, this is not free. You can, however, get a free trial for 14 days if you want to try this out. If not, I think this thing is like 40 bucks a month. I'm not amazing at Marvelous Designer, so if you want to actually know how to use Marvelous Designer, there are tons of tutorials out there. I don't think I'm the best person to explain how this software works. However, the gist of it is you import an avatar. This one is the metahuman, the same metahuman that I'm going to be using in the Unreal project. You can use the mannequin if you just export out the mannequin. The way that I got this is the combined mesh that you get from Quixel Bridge outside of Unreal Engine if you export it out to Maya. I don't know any other way of getting this combined mesh that is not in Maya. If you know of another way, please leave it in the comment section below for everybody to see. Because if you go into Unreal, the metahuman split in two. It's just a head mesh and a body mesh. And in here, you need the whole thing if you want to simulate something like a shirt or a top. Maybe if you're doing anything below the waist, you don't need the head, but you get what I'm saying. So for this example, I'm going to be using this metahuman. If you want to add your avatar, just go here, add avatar, and browse through wherever you exported. I recommend if you're trying this out for the first time, you can use the mannequins from that come with the every Unreal project. Just use those; they work pretty well. So export it out as a FBX, then load your avatar in here. Make sure you pick the DAS preset, which is the one that's in centimeters. Otherwise, it's going to be really small for some reason. Now, if you click here, I can reposition this skirt to sort of what I wanted. I think here is fine. Now, one of the recommendations from the documentation that I read was to be mindful of your resolution. Your resolution is going to be this little thing right here called particle distance. This one's in millimeters because the project's in millimeters, but it can be in centimeters. So what we're gonna do is we're going to increase this a little bit. I'm going to leave it at 15, and because 10 is a very high resolution. So the lower it is, because it's particle distance, the lower it is, the lower the distance between particles, the higher resolution it's going to be. And the higher resolution, the more laggy your simulation is going to be inside Unreal. So you have to be careful of that. So now that I think about it, I'm actually going to leave this at 18. They recommend to do it 20. I think 18, it's worked for me so far. So after done that, I'm just going to simulate. And you can see I have some problems here. So let me push this back. Push this back as well. And there it is. So what I did is I pressed spacebar. You can see this icon changed and it's simulating. And again, it's pretty fast. I think it's pretty fast. Probably the resolution was 10. It would still be pretty fast. The more complex your outfit, the slower it's going to be. So now that we have this skirt, we can actually load something else. So I can show you the full workflow of 2 items. So let's load this big shirt. It's going to look weird because this is like a generic shirt for any character. So I'm just going to double click it. I'm going to say add. And I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, it's just a giant shirt. All right, now I'm going to hit simulate. But before I do that, let's change the layer to something else. So let's change this layer to layer 1. And let's simulate. And pretty cool. This thing is simulating on top of the skirt. Again, pretty long shirt, doesn't matter. And we got a full on outfit. Okay, we're not looking for form, we're looking for function right now. So we got 2 outfits. Let's check out the UV editor. Now here in the UV editor, one of the things that they recommend is that you place your UVs in different slots, like as if they were UDIMs. So UDIMs are if you have different UV spaces. So I'm just gonna move these to the next space. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to select these 2 like that. We're gonna go to File. We're gonna go to Export over here, and we're gonna click on USD. All right, this comes up. Change folder to MetaHuman USD and call this full outfit. Although this is as basic as it comes. Now, when you have this window here, there's a couple of things that the documentation recommends. By the way, I'm going to leave the documentations down in the description if you want to read it. Uncheck select all avatars. Click on thick. Unify coordinates and everything. I just do the fuse map. You could do every map, every single map if you want. I just don't care about them because, again, we're looking at close simulations. We're not looking at the material so much. We'll talk about that in another video. The most important checkbox from this is this little box right here where it says include garment simulation data. One of the things that I was doing is I was just clicking OK right away without going through this little box. And when I got into Unreal, I got the LOD invalid problem that a lot of people were getting. So somebody on Twitter pointed this out. By the way, you should follow me on Twitter because I post a lot of stuff there. Link is in the description. So just make sure you tick this. So once you do that, you click OK. This is going to take a little bit longer than your usual FBX export from any DCC like Blender. One of the things that I figured out is if this thing takes no time exporting, so if it's export really quickly, that means you didn't tick that box, because after I tick that box, it takes a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a minute or 2. So I'm going to wait for it to be done, and I'll see you guys in Unreal. Here we're in Unreal, and if you follow me on Twitter, again, you probably know about this because I posted a video on Twitter about this MetaHuman. This is the full MetaHuman blueprint. As you can see, I just added the clothes, and if you click play, it simulates. That's the beauty of it, and I love it. Okay, let's start with the workflow. One of the things you're going to need is the mesh that you just used in Marvelous Designer. That mesh has to be rigged and should have some physics asset to it. The MetaHumans already do. This is the combined mesh of the MetaHuman. All I did was go into Maya, export it as any character that you would export into Maya. And when I come here, I give it the MetaHuman base skeleton. Of course, I already had a MetaHuman imported into Unreal to get that. And the MetaHuman physics assets. If you're using the MetaHuman, that's all you need. If you're using the Quinn or the Manny, which is the characters that come with Unreal, these 2, then all you have to do is use this, because you use the same thing when simulating this clothing inside of Marvelous Designer. So you should be using the same skeletal mesh that you're using in Marvelous Designer. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen. All right, now that we have that out of the way, let's go to the important part. Go to settings, go to plugins. And over here, you're going to type chaos. And you're going to see these 2 new things. Actually, you should have these in 5.3 as well. But with these 2 new things, we'll do is give you all the things that we're going to need to make this work. So make sure you tick those. Restart the engine, and then come back here. Now, after you've done that, you right click, you go to physics, you go to cloth assets, and it's going to create a cloth assets for you. Let's call it full outfit. Doesn't matter what you call it. Once you go into it, it will create this data flow. As you can see, there's a new data flow outfit over here. It actually gave me that LOD invalid. That's normal. That's okay because you don't have anything here. So that's part of the whole chain. It's just telling you, hey, I don't have this LOD here. I'm going crazy, but it doesn't matter because there's nothing there. Now we're going to go here into the USD import, and you click these three dots right here to get Windows Explorer. As you can see, I'm in my Windows Explorer where I have my USDs saved. So you click on the USD file, just the USD that you're going to use. You don't need the texture folder. The USD will pull the textures if you had any. So we click on open. It's going to evaluate some nodes. It takes a while depending on what you have. And as you can see, various things that we need to take into account. One of them is the fact that however you arrange the outfits in Marvelous Designer, you're going to get it in this 2D window. So as you can see, this is pretty much the same 2D window that I had in Marvelous Designer. If we go into the 2D pattern window, it's exactly the same. So I think that's pretty cool. It brings in what you had in Marvelous Designer. Now, if I go to 3D Sim, you can see the outfit right here. It has no smoothing group, so that is why it kind of looks broken. It's fine once it pops up in here, which it already is. We just need to move out. You can see it over here. And I'm guessing it has some sort of LOD system because as soon as I get close, the outfit, it looks fine. Here you have transform positions. We're going to talk about this node later with another problem that I have while using this. But next in the chain, as you can see, this is amazingly commented. So kudos whoever did this. Very easy to use for people like myself and anyone that's coming new into the system. It's pretty much telling you what to do. You have step 1, give it a USD. Step 2, give it a skeletal mesh. Step 3, do the weight painting. And you have step 4 all the way over here. So let's do step 2, which is setting up skeletal mesh. And this is why I told you that we're going to need that same skeletal mesh that you used inside Marvelous Designer. I don't recommend that you use a static mesh in Marvelous Designer because again, you're going to be using exactly the same mesh. It's better just to be sure. So while I'm on this node, you can see that you have this source mesh right here. I just click on my skeletal mesh and click on this to add it. Now let's see how it looks. Here's where you can see the arms are going through the clothing, which is not good. And the reason for that is because this gets exactly the same position where the outfit was before it started simulating inside of Marvelous Designer. So we're going to continue the whole workflow and then we'll talk about how to fix that. So transfer weights, you click on accept. That is pretty much it if you just wanted a rigged character. So let's say you have skin tight clothes, kind of like the Vault Dweller jumpsuit, something that's not loose, or like a sci-fi suit, a jacket that's very tight. This will be it. So I could right now add this skeletal mesh to the preview scene. By the way, you're probably here. Just click on the preview scene. If you don't see the preview scene, just go to window and make sure you have the preview scene here. And then just add the skeletal mesh that you use. Now here it is. And as you can see by the color, we see that this is not in the same place that it was in the simulation, because if we look at the simulation, the color is down here. But when I started, before I simulated, the color was a little bit higher. So again, we're gonna correct that in a second. But if all you wanted was to get this rigged, and this is the part where it's the most impressive for me. So what this tool does is it actually transfers the weights from your skeletal mesh into your clothing item. You do the same on DCC apps in like Maya. I don't know how to do it in Blender, to be honest, and I don't know how to do it anywhere else. But in Maya, you click on transfer weights and you pretty much just rig your clothing. However, I've never seen the Maya tool do it as good as this does here, because if I were to look for an animation, let's look for walk. All the way down, let's look for this walk. We click play. you can see that, yes, there are some issues, but it is working. It is rigged. And we're going to correct these issues, but this thing, it's already working. And if this were a skin tight suit, you will have a rig clothing item, which is the other workflow that I'm going to show in another video tutorial, where we're going to get the clothing from somewhere else that is not Marvelous Designer. That's one way to do it. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to continue the workflow, the normal workflow you should follow that Unreal recommends when using this. So I'm just going to click on this and you're going to see the outfit in 3D. You can go to the outfit in 2D. So you can paint the outfit in 2D or 3D. I do it usually in 3D. For some reason, sometimes the 2D doesn't work. Sometimes it does work. Like right now, it actually works. It is better to paint here in 2D, mind you. Honestly, I like painting here a lot better than I do painting in the 3D. But for some reason, I don't know if it's a bug, this doesn't always work. So just to describe what you need here is, this is a paintbrush. If you use Chaos Cloth before, you'll be very familiar with this. If not, then once you're in here, you're going to have your outfit laid out like Marvelous Designer, and you have several things you need to pay attention to. Right now, you have the brush. There's the fill. You can fill with white and then paint with black if you have a big outfit, and that's an easier way. I just rather paint with my brush. Then you have brush mode. You have paint and smooth. We're gonna use smooth in a little bit. You have the brush size, as everything in Unreal. You have attribute value. That means white is 1 and black is 0. If you want to do like an in-between, if you want to smooth it out yourself, you can choose a value in between. However, I have not used that. I just do smooth and it works fine. The strength is very self-explanatory. It's the strength of the brush. So again, you can just fill everything with one color and that'll take care of it. However, let's just paint here. We're gonna paint the skirt. And once I'm done painting the skirt, I'm gonna go, let me make this a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go here to brush size. You can also reduce the brush size with the brackets on your keyboards, just like if you were in any other application. And let's just switch this to smooth. You can smooth that out. I think this is too high. Let's go into the 3D view. Yeah, it's a little bit too high. So I'm just gonna go back to 2D. And I'm going to paint black. So let's switch to paint. Let's switch the attribute value to 0. And let's just reduce this just a little bit. We're still going to smooth this out. So there's going to be some paint around here. And we're also going to be doing the shirt or the t-shirt in a second. Now let's just smooth this out. And you can see that it kind of does a gradient. You can also load gradients, but from what I read, that's not fully working right now. So I'm just going to stick with this, which I think is fine. Now, when you're painting, you can see that if you do too low of a resolution, then your collision would probably not be great. So just keep that in mind. Now let's paint the shirt. Now let's paint the bottom part of the shirt. Okay, once you're done with this, you click accept. And that weight map is applied, but we're not done yet. For the simulation to work, you need to go through step 4. Step 4 is set a physics asset. Any skeletal mesh that you have in Unreal has a physics asset. You don't have to create it. It's usually created automatically. However, Probably the automatic is not the best one. That's why I'm using the MetaHuman, and that's why I recommend Quinn. Now, if you want to know where your physics asset is, just go into your skeletal mesh, scroll down, and your physics asset should be here. So just navigate to where it is, and I'm going to throw it in here. All right, physics assets are there. And all we have to do is add our mesh. So I'm just going to go into where my MetaHuman is located. We're going to add it here. As you can see, that was a little bit of simulation right there. Let's pick a walk cycle. Let's do this one. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Okay, and if I hit play, we have scared simulating. These parts are simulating not that well, but the scared is working pretty good. Now, there are some problems here, which again, we're going to try to correct in a bit, but I just wanted to show you that that is the whole workflow. That is everything you need to do to make this going. We're going to talk about how to add this to the MetaHuman blueprint in a second. Let me just talk about how to fix these issues first. I'm just going to undo all these. And to be honest, I'm going to take away the physics from the top because I don't think they look. Okay, back to the issue that we talked about before. We can see that here in our transfer weight node where our outfit is going through our MetaHuman. What I need is to bring this down a little bit. So the easy way that I found how to figure out how to fix this is just to bring your MetaHuman a little bit up. Let's do 1.3. 1.5. Okay, let's leave it at 1.5. I think 1.5 is the sweet spot. And we're going to cancel that. And what we're going to do is in here, we're going to click on this node. The reason for this node, if you read the documentation, is to fix scale. So sometimes the scale from Marvelous Designer is not the ideal one for Unreal. And you don't have to worry about getting the right scale over there because you can always use this node that's already in here for this purpose. So what we're going to do is we're going to transform all these. We need to check them, and every time you check them, this evaluates all the nodes. So make sure you are careful when doing this because it may crash. It happened to me already, and now that I said it, it's probably going to crash. So let's see what happens. Oh, it didn't crash. So you can see what's going on. Because if you just check one, then nothing's going to happen. You actually need to check these two, the sim and the render, because in the end, it's doing the sim and the render at the same time. So make sure you check these two. And we have a scale, rotation, and translation. In translation, what I did is bring the avatar one step up. So what we're going to do is we need to bring the outfit actually the same amount. It's just we need to bring it down. So what I'm going to do is go into translation. The last one is Z or Z, which is up and down. And I'm going to do minus 1.5 on all of them. Now you actually don't need this one. I just realized, sorry, I just wanted to make this correction. You actually don't need the 2D position sim one. That is not required. So once you've done that and you come back to transfer weight, you're going to see that magically the outfit is exactly where I need it. And I no longer have the clipping problem on the back that I had before. Okay, so make sure you do that. And again, if you created your outfit from scratch in Marvelous Designer, this is probably a step that you're not going to need. So we go all the way. All right, I think everything is fine and dandy right now. I'm just going to add my MetaHuman. Boom. There she is. As you can see, no problems. There are no clipping problems back here. Everything is awesome. And we're gonna add a walk animation. And there you go. We got cool skirt simulation. It's going a little bit through this, so maybe if I were to increase the resolution of the shirt and carefully sim the bottom part, this will probably take care of that problem. But as you can see, we now have an outfit that works on a metahuman that is doing simulation. It's actually doing it at a very nice frames per second. So this would be pretty cool for a cinematic. This will probably look awesome in UEFN for NPCs because I don't think Epic is wanting us to do player characters just yet. But this will look very cool for NPCs and cinematic in UEFN. Once I've figured how to do that, then there will be a video on that. One of the things you see here is the higher your resolution, the more simulation you're going to get. And if you go through some of these comments, you can actually fine tune how much movement you get from this kind of clothing item. But for now, that is the usual workflow. That is all you need to do. It kind of looks daunting at the beginning, but it's actually pretty easy. I'm surprised how easy the workflow is once you figure out how to do it. Okay, we made our clothes. Now, how do we get it on our metahuman? We go to, you need a metahuman for this, or you can do it to Quinn or Manny if you're using the mannequins, or just use whatever character you want. I'm actually going to duplicate this. Gonna double click here, and I have metahuman here with no clothes. What I need to do is here on the body, I'm going to click on add. And on add, we're going to look for chaos. And you can see that we have a chaos cloth component. We're going to add this chaos cloth component, and you see that it's now a child of the body. You might get a child of the body, you click on compile, you see that is working fine. Now what this chaos cloth component needs is a chaos cloth asset that we just spent a little bit creating on this tutorial. So we're going to go back to clothing and see where I have my metahuman outfit. The full outfit here, remember, is this one right here that has the clothing icon, not the data flow. I'm just going to throw it right here, and there you go. It works fine and dandy. We're going to save this. All right, so as you can see, she is in editor. I'm just going to rotate her. And if I go into, let's create a sequence. Let's add a level sequence. I add this metahuman. And if we go into control rig, you can see that clothes is rigged perfectly because yes, this is perfect. We grab all these controllers. Yes, clothes is rigged perfectly. We grab the feet. And you have a character with clothes rig. So again, it's super easy, and I'm going to show in another video how to do it. If you don't want to use the Marvelous Designer workflow, there are other ways to do this right here. All right, now one of the things I did was I got rid of control rig, and I just added an animation. So if you add an animation here, nothing is going to happen, of course. But if you have, just click these three dots to put in simulate, don't play the game. If you click simulate, it will simulate. Now, as you can see, performance is pretty good, even though this skirt is simulating. And as you can see, the skirt is actually not going through the leg. It's going a little bit through the shirt, but we already talked about how that could be fixed. This is the important part. You can see how the shirt is being, I'm sorry, how the skirt is being simulated. This one's being simulated as well, but it's awesome. Now you're probably wondering, how would I use this on a cinematic? Well, remember that whenever you hit render with the movie render queue, it activates the engine and it activates all the physics. That's why you need to warm up frames. And this will just play out like if you're simulating the game. So it just works like Howard says.
And again, it just works.
The thing is, this one actually works and Fallout doesn't work all the time, but there you go. And that is how you make this happen. Now, if you have, or if you think of another testing scenario that I should try with this, just let me know and I'll try to make a video on that. Make sure you leave all those questions down in the comments. And thanks everybody for watching. There's a Patreon if you want to help out the channel. All my patrons are on screen right now. The level 2 patrons receive this video a little bit earlier than everyone else. If you can't do the Patreon, then leaving a like and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm goes a long way. That makes YouTube notice me a bit more. There's a Twitter if you want to follow me there. There's the Discord. And I'll see you in the next one.